Hey, let me say good morning to you, Grenada, Carriacou, Petit Martinique, the rest of the Eastern, the Caribbean, and the world. Oh, it's K105, and good morning to those of you viewing via GBN TV. I'm going to get my mic out of my way just a little bit. And welcome to another edition of To The Point for today, Thursday. It's the 10th day of March 2020. Let me say good morning to our listeners via, of course, our social media platforms, whether it's YouTube or Facebook. Good morning. And, of course, once again, those of you viewing via GBN TV and listening to us also on K105. It's To The Point for today, Thursday the 10th. And this morning, our guest is from the Royal Grenada Police Force, to be precise, the ICT department. I won't say IT, but ICT. That department. We'll be chit-chatting this morning a whole lot with them this morning. So we're going to start to go over to our guest shortly. And this morning we have, let me get my guest's name this morning. We have for you, that's Superintendent Wayne Wilson. He's with us this morning. Also Inspector Allan James. Both of them with us this morning. Let me go over to the gentleman and say good morning. Good morning to you, gentlemen. How are you this morning?
Good morning, GT, and good morning to your listeners, wherever you are this time. I'm doing good this morning.
All right. And as you that's it, Inspector Allan James.
Allan James, yes.
Thank you very much, and thanks for being with us this morning. And we also have for you, is it Superintendent Wayne Wilson? You mind chiming in and say good morning to you, sir? How are you doing?
Yeah, pleasant good morning to you, GT, and pleasant good morning to the listeners out there within Grenada and the wider diaspora. Thank you for having us this morning.
It's a pleasure as always having the Royal Grenada Police Force chiming in, of course, and sharing fruitful information with the viewing and listening public. Now this morning we want to talk about the ICT department of the Royal Grenada Police Force. I'm not sure which of you gentlemen this morning would like to kick it off. Let us know about the ICT department of the Royal Grenada Police Force. Just give us a little insight in terms of what it's like there.
Okay, I think I'll start off with this because being the ICT manager within that department, I think is only fitting that I commence the conversation here this morning as it relates to the department. Well, we have ICT as a number of people refers to information and communications technology.
Yeah.
As we all know, in the world today, we have a combination of both the IT infrastructure as the communication infrastructure meshing themselves together. And so that's why we have normally in the wider world and here in Grenada, we refer to it as the Information and Communication Technology Department. And first thing, let me highlight that our mantra or motto for this department is actually embracing technology towards a safer society. And when we talk about safer society, we're talking about Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique, and the wider region as a whole, because we do know that we have visitors coming to our island. We do know that we interact with our neighboring countries within the Caribbean. So our interaction is not limited only to Grenada.
All right.
But to talk more about the department itself, the department itself is staffed with 25 persons within that department. And we are not only made up of just merely police officers. We have a cadre of civilian staff that assist us in ensuring that we deliver the services required, be it within the RGPF or within any form of government sector. And the total amount of us is actually 25 persons within that department, 9 of those being civilian staff. 2 of those are actually under the e-money program. And I'll highlight where they do work at this present time. Right. So the ICT department is made up in actually 3 sections. We have the radio communication arm of the department. We have the electrical arm of the department and the IT arm. The radio communication deals with the normal portable, or what some people may refer it as the walkie-talkie on the street, where we have at the police headquarters, we have what we call our dispatch center, or formerly known as our operation management center, where we have all communications coming there, be it by 911, be it by just picking up the phone and dialing 440-3999, or be it the officer on the street who have a portable radio and decide to call and relate any traffic incident or any known incident associated with our responsibility as police officers. Also, we have the electrical unit. The electrical unit, that is where the two imanis are attached. They are responsible for ensuring that anything electrical throughout Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique as it relates to our stations and departments are properly maintained and taken care of. And then we have the heart of the department, which is the IT department, which deals with support, maintenance, and all projects associated that surrounds ICT. So we deal with that. Our projects, for example, include a couple of weeks back, we had a big launch here in Grenada for a carry secure project that involves our police record management information system. Previous to that, we had a big training with a project that was launched through the National Telecommunication Regulatory Commission based in Grenans that dealt with a digital radio trunk communication network for police, prisons, NAGMA, Red Cross, and other entities out there, such as MBIA and other aspects of entities that use communication. So this is two of the big projects that we have been working on, and I know definitely we have more to come, but I'll stop here for now to give you questions as we move along.
I would like to ask, what's the main role, especially for the ICT department, what it plays within the everyday functioning of the Royal Grenada Police Force?
Okay, you could almost say or refer to the ICT department of being the only department that is almost like an octopus. When I say an octopus, is that we have the responsibility to ensure that we maintain all ICT peripherals, ICT networking, ICT computers, whatever you may refer to as being associated with information technology, that we have a handle in every department within the Royal Grenada Police Force. I'll give you an example. We play a big role in water management. Water management, we are not directly responsible for it, but that falls under the officer, Mr. Leroy Joseph, Superintendent Leroy Joseph, in immigration. So that's an immigration tool that they use in order to maintain the safety of our borders. But in terms of the maintenance of that system, our responsibility for there. We have another example is the driver's license. We know mostly everybody have a tendency, mostly about half of the population or a little less, holders of a driver's license. We are responsible also for ensuring that the document is as authentic as possible and ensuring that we deliver in terms of the services offered at the Inland Revenue on a daily basis from Monday to Friday to ensure that people have a proper document in their hand as they move forward.
All right. So in a typical way of saying it now, the ICT department is now playing a role in terms of minimizing that extensive paperwork, as we used to say before, within the Royal Grenada Police Force. Now, we understand the trend in which the world has gone to now. Because everybody sits around with a tablet, or most people sit around with their phones these days, and information can be obtained. And so that particular division now within the Royal Grenada Force is playing an important role in extending information, because you could say it's like a support arm now for all the other departments. Am I correct by saying that?
Correct. Yes. You're very much correct, yes. And you mentioned the use of the ability for in a space of time to actually get rid of a lot of paper. I did mention earlier on about a carry secure project that we launched on the 24th of February at the Grenada Trade Center. And let me speak a little about that in light of the statement you just make as it relates to the use of paper and getting rid of it. Maybe 100%, but as close as possible as we can get. The Carry Secure project have an arm which we call the Police Record Management Information System. As I indicated, we had a launch in February the 24th, where Grenada became the focal point among 8 other Caribbean countries in the delivery of that project. And the intent of it is to actually manage our processes within our station and departments in terms of dealing with call for service, incident management, and case management. And I'm not too sure if the public is aware, but a lot of what we do strongly in records management takes a lot of stationaries. So the hope and the intention are that we move away from a lot of the manual process that we have and go into what is called a software-based approach. And yes, coming back to the statement that you made earlier in terms of paper-based approach, we want to change that. We really want to change that for the Royal Grenada Police Force. And we are moving carefully but steadfastly in that direction.
Okay, great. So let's go for a wee bit to Inspector Allan James. Once again, good morning, sir, and you've been patiently waiting here. Now, give us your role between that you play, let's say, within the ICT department or in a whole. Let's know so we can see what direction we can go along this morning.
All right, my role is the person second in charge of the ICT department.
Yes.
So I'm more or less supporting Superintendent Wayne Wilson.
Yeah.
And then everything else that happens within the department is my responsibility to ensure that it happens in terms of service and support, in terms of administration within the department. My role is to ensure that this happens on a daily basis. And as the superintendent mentioned, within the organization, we are more or less playing a supporting role based on our role within the Royal Grenada Police Force. And as you are aware, we are using information technology to assist us in securing our state in terms of making our work more efficient and effective while we serve the general public. We all live in the 21st century and things are changing. And as an organization, that's the direction in which we are moving forward to in terms of using the technology to assist us to do our job. So I'm here providing a supporting role and ensuring that the objective and our mantra as relates to an organization and a department is fulfilled within the Royal Grenada Police Force and the wider public that we serve.
All right. So in terms of the supporting role that the Royal Grenada, the ICT department plays within the Royal Grenada Police Force, in the everyday functioning of the force, and we're talking about, Inspector Wilson, I hope I get it right, mentioned a while ago, Superintendent, I apologize there, sir. He spoke a while about pertaining to the communication part that you all play also. So it's not only the ICT, but you're also in charge of the communication per se. As you mentioned a while ago, earlier, per se, that, the simple walkie-talkie that a officer may be having walking around town to share information to get back. How extensive and how have this particular area within the how has it been upgraded lately? Or how is it rolling out per se?
But I must say yes. We had it a very long time ago, and I must say that it has been upgraded to a more robust, reliable system.
All right.
Our communication system, we have communication through the length and breadth of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. So we have full coverage. So while officers on the street, we can communicate with each other in the station or department as based on our daily duties. And all of this communication will head back straight to our 911 OMC Operation Management Center communication arm that we are also responsible for. So I must say the communication network that we have now is an improved one, and I must say I've been working very, very well thus far. The officers are very, very appreciative of it. So we do have the walkie-talkie radios. We also have radios in all of our police vehicles that they can use. So whenever an officer is, whether it's on the beat or traveling to a transport, we can have communication through the length and breadth of Grenada moving forward. And I could mention one thing about the communication arm, especially with the Royal Grenada Police Force. At 911, if there's an emergency or the commissioner or the executive need to summon every single officer to a particular location or for a particular event, one communication coming from radio room, every station, department, or branch will hear that communication at the same time.
Okay.
So that's how effective that communication is for police officers, just by using that medium. And that's just one of the mediums that we use besides cell phone and the land phone. But the radio communication has been playing a very, very critical role for us as police officers. And just think about it. Even if you have a natural disaster and there's no other communication with cell phone or land phone, we do have the communication that we can rely on with the radio that we can use to communicate to the length and breadth of Grenada, Carriacou, and pertinent. So that is very, very key for us in moving forward. Communication is very, very important in law enforcement. And we are very happy to have it with us as we move forward.
What about the stability of the system? You mentioned it's been upgraded, I'm assuming tested also. What is the stability of the system in terms of communication, of course, with, the Coast Guard per se, that part of it? I'm assuming that is also interconnected because all your department interconnects, as you mentioned before. The stability of the system, is it on par? Is it up to mark also? Would you say that?
Well, let me answer that. Yes. Let me answer this because having and knowing the depth of the system, I think I'm best able to answer it. Let me give you an overview, a short overview. We have 8 what you call repeater size short Grenada, Carriacou, and pertinent that supports the system. With the system, as Allan mentioned a while ago, comes portable radios, come base station radios, and mobile vehicle radios. The unique thing about these radios, both the portable radios and the mobile vehicle radios, they come with GPS. So we are able to track one police officer who goes out to work. Also, we are able to track the vehicle. And I know members of the public have been down on us as it relates to how we utilize resources, especially vehicles. So one of the things that we are able to do, as I mentioned a while ago, is that to be able to track, to know exactly where in Grenada a vehicle is located, be it a vehicle in Carriacou, which part of Carriacou is located, and be it on the mainland, which part of the mainland is located. You asked a question about the robustness of the system. That system have been proven. We have spoken to a number of countries who have moved to that new technology. As I indicated, it's a chunk system. What is required here is just a matter of turning on the device, making sure that you're on the right. And with all the 8 sites that I mentioned previously, it proves to us, and what we have seen is that coverage, one, is pretty good. Mostly all the sites that we have backup facilities, and the sites are hardened, meaning that there are instances, we know that there are possibilities where a hurricane may happen and you may get 1 or 2 sites being down. That's a possibility because we never know what the future holds, but we believe, based on where the equipment are located, all equipments are located, that the sites could withstand, as we did during MLE, because we had equipment before when we had MLE up, and that equipment withstood that hurricane at the time. Not Ivan, but MLE, we withstood that event at the time. So we, based on our past experience, that the system itself, as a system, is reliable, and both the areas where we have installed all the repeaters in order to ensure communication, that they could withstand maybe a category 3 to 4 hurricane if possible. And let me add as another caveat as it relates to the system itself. The system, mindful, does not only support the RGPF. And the system is intended here to also support NAGMA, the prisons, the Red Cross, and all other NGOs within the city of Grenada, including the Ministry of Health. Currently, we have some of the ambulances that is under the Ministry of Health. They are currently equipped with communication equipment. Some, the hospital and other, both the 3 hospitals, the one in St. George, the one in Grenville and Carriacou, is equipped with base station radios. And pretty soon in the next coming week or 2, we'll be issuing portables to these departments of government, the NGOs, such as or statutory bodies such as MBIA, the Red Cross and others would be having portables so that they could prepare themselves. Because for law enforcement, we use the equipment every day, but places like NAGMA and the Red Cross, most of the time they will use this equipment is when there is a possibility of a hurricane or approaching disaster. So pretty soon, like I indicated, in the next weeks, we'll be having equipment issued to these entities so to support them. Because remember, in the next 3 months or so, we'll be entering the 2020 hurricane season.
Okay.
So, and one of the unique things about this system is that, as I indicated to numerous persons, Grenada is too small to have 5 and 6 entities having their individual communication system.
All right.
And when the time comes to have proper management of communication, proper management of incidents, proper management of disasters, we cannot mesh or come in as one. The intent of that system will do just that. What is going to happen? The prisoners would communicate on a daily basis if they need to, but because of the fact we have command and control of the system, if there comes a time when there is a need to have other entities communicate among each other, we have, from the touch of a button, the ability to actually connect each other to be a part of a unique communication network where each one could speak to each other. And after the disaster is over, they go back to their own individual group or zone of communication.
All right. Interesting to know that a whole lot. Gentlemen, we're going to take a short break. On return, we come back and chit-chat some more here on To The Point here on K105 and the GBN TV. We're coming right back.
Join GBN on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. for Interesting Grenadians, a program that showcases the lives of interesting and outstanding Grenadians at home and abroad. It's Interesting Grenadians every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. on GBN. Don't you miss it.
She was my life, caring for me, loving me from a baby. COVID came and she never left the house. She felt safe there. Just turned 80. She kept saying, son, go take the vaccine so you could come and see me. I miss you. I never did. Because I'm young and I'm strong, and people on Facebook say the vaccine don't really protect you. I went to see her because I thought I was fine. I had no symptoms. She was so happy to see me. I had COVID and I did not even know. Being vaccinated would have helped. I just know it. I just know it. I'm so sorry, Granny. I'm so sorry.
This message is brought to you by the Grenada COVID Crisis Group and the Grenadians United in Virginia.
Get ready for a season of Grooving Smooth and Live on GBN. Grooving Smooth and Live is a 1-hour performance gig every Thursday from 8 p.m. featuring performances from our local musicians and short interviews discussing all things musical. Every Thursday, a different musician and a different instrument will be featured, from the violin to the saxophone to the trumpet, guitar, and steel pan. Our local musicians playing, improvising, and educating us on all genres of music. Join GBN with host musicians Matthias and Shireen, and a special guest every Thursday at 8 p.m. It's Grooving Smooth and Live on GBN.
It's K105 at the morning time. It's to the point here on K105, also via GBN TV, social media platforms. Good morning to you, those of you tuned in via Facebook or you via the YouTube channel. Good morning to you. This morning we're talking with, of course, Superintendent Wynne Wilson and Inspector Allan James, being part of the ICT department of the Royal Grenada Police Force. We're talking communications also within the Royal Grenada Police Force. Gentlemen, welcome back once again, and I want to ask you this in terms of when you were speaking, you made up the point pertaining to your department assistant, especially in terms of driver's license and licensing of vehicles and so forth. Somehow you play a role within there. Sometimes we see in the last couple of months we've seen where it was a bit of an ease in terms of for officers per se in maybe in traffic stops where they will ask the question pertaining to driver's license, and you will see officers take out their phone and obtaining information instantly. I'm assuming the ICT department came into is one of the key roles playing in that particular in those instances there. Am I correct with that?
As it relates to that, we have had some involvement in terms of ensuring that this is out there, but we cannot take credit for that.
Can't take all the credit. All right.
There is a gentleman in Grenada, very talented gentleman, Mr. Joseph Gill, who introduced us to the ability of his company being able to develop such an application. Okay. And coming together with the traffic department, with Mr. Connett, who is in charge of the department, and the administrators of the Inland Revenue Department, saw it was fitting to engage in the services of Mr. Joseph Gill to ensure we have that level of interaction between the police officer and the driver or that motor vehicle, the owner of that motor vehicle, who now and again you must have seen on the street.
All right.
It's solely based on him. We do our best to support him and in terms of advising, in terms of what the application will look like. As you rightfully mentioned, he have completed and done two applications for us. One is the driver's license application, which is not fully implemented as yet in terms of its rollout. But the one that is out there fully is the motor vehicle registration. Okay. We now have the ability that if all the peripherals are in place, that you could go to a licensing area. And if it's not done as yet, we are hoping to do it because the department itself has supporting equipment that would enable us to do so. This equipment was donated by a number of insurance companies here in Grenada who have been supporting the traffic department and Inland Revenue in ensuring that we have the prerequisite in order to facilitate a one-stop shop at any area of inspection, so that you inspect your vehicle and you could do your payment online right there and get your sticker. So if it's not done as yet, that is something that we are looking forward to in this coming year.
All right, interesting there, because it just came to mind because I've been seeing how the ease of the ease of it in terms of even paying with the finance department and so forth. So I was thinking if they were all interrelated and interlinked with the Royal Grenada Police Force. That's
yes, it is.
That was my question came into play there. Yes. All right. So viewers and calls out there, you probably have, if you're a listener, a viewer also, you probably have a question you may like to ask the both officers this morning pertaining to anything that we've been discussing pertaining to the ICT, and something that may be of concern to you. You feel free to call. That's 435-2041. That's 435-2041. We certainly will accept your calls and whatever questions you may like to ask them pertaining to ICT within the Royal Grenada Police Force. Now, what is the future like for the department, especially the ICT department and Grenada as a whole? How do you, of course, Superintendent Wilson, see this whole area diverting in the change of policing in Grenada per se? Also, if it's
okay. Yes, good question. Very, very good question. I could remember that I mentioned premise earlier on, and I referred to premise as being police record management information system. One of the things that we are looking forward to is we have started the process already of training officers to utilize the application in doing their daily work. But one of the things we're looking forward to as being a huge part of actually lifting the image in terms of how we do business is the ability of police officers not to remain in their comfort zone, meaning that as you will be aware and the wider public will be aware, we have a tendency to say, oh, so you have a matter to report, could you come to the station? That is something we're looking forward to change.
Great.
Change is going to take some time because we're looking forward to the officer being able to move away from his desk, go in the field with a tablet or some form of device that he could connect back to the application that I mentioned, premise, and be able to conduct his work effectively and efficiently during the field than having you as an individual come to the station when there is no need to, or it will better help or enable the officer to carry out other functions. Because one of the things we tend to rely on and is within the Caribbean and within Grenada and other police forces regionally is the idea of community policing. Mm-hmm. And community policing, a big part of community policing is the interaction between the officer moving away from his comfort zone, as I mentioned earlier on, and going there out in the field. So we're hoping with that initiative also assist in building a better avenue for officers to interact with wider members of the public in terms of enhancing or community policing attributes in terms of generating a more cohesiveness within all aspects of Grenada, be it with a student out there, be it with somebody on the street, be it with a bus driver, be it with a housewife. Regardless of where you are, we want to change the approach in terms of how we're doing things and be out there and interact with you more. And I hope that the members of the public welcome us and give us, make us feel comfortable, because sometimes you may go in an area and sometimes an officer may not be too comfortable, but we want us to have that balance. Make us feel comfortable in taking us out from the station and being out in the field and interacting with you more. One of the things that is expected is that a lot more questions will be asked, a lot more requirements will be asked in terms of how we manage this application, in terms of gathering information in order that we could make informed decisions, because based on what we gather will determine how we change our strategies and our policies in terms of policing an area or district within Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martin.
All right. We do have a caller online this morning. I hope the caller is there. He's been holding for a wee bit. I hope you have a question that he wants to ask both of you this morning. Oh, for some reason the other, that caller. Good morning, caller. How you doing?
Good morning to you, and good to the officers there. I'm very encouraged and inspired to hear about this new system. I missed some of this, what was said, so I'm not sure if I'm asking a question but something that was already said. But my interest is in the area of driver's examination. Sometimes I go to inspect a vehicle and I see the long lines of people doing the examination. I've had experiences with my children who went to do exams. It took forever to get the results. You know, they have to they go and the officer in charge is on leave or something. It took you forever to get the results from an exam. It was encouraging to hear it mentioned that the system is not only for emergencies, it's for everyday use. Now, how do you intend to use this to modernize this whole matter of examination? and evaluation. And I remember recommending it to somebody at some point. I said, why don't you let the ministry, they have a system that do exams twice or 3 times a year, and they idle for most of the year. Why couldn't they just do this thing for you, and because they do thousands of students, and then the next day you know the results? And why you do 5 people doing a written exam, and it's taking weeks to get the outcome? How are you going to interface? For instance, the Ministry of Education can do this thing, pass it on to you. This handwritten thing, and you should be able to use all those things, make life easy, save money, save travel and inconvenience. Have you any plans of incorporating things as driver's exams and other things like that into this app to make it more user-friendly and everyday benefit to the population and for convenience for yourselves? Thank you.
Okay, that was a question there from the caller. I hope it was, it was a little bit of feedback in terms of what you were saying. Hope you gentlemen did grasp some of what the caller was trying to say.
Yeah, I think I got from him that he mentioned about the ability to do the driver's license exam and not wait too long results. And I think he included the aspect of the Ministry of Education in terms of testing and evaluation. They have that ability, and why don't we try to look into, or maybe have we been doing it already? I think that's what I got from the caller. But let me let the caller know that we have had discussion as it relates to driver's license examination in the past. Currently, we have nothing planned as yet. And I say as yet because of the fact we are evolving. We are moving from what you call a paper-based environment to utilizing the technology out there. And there's a lot that needs to be considered in moving forward. Yes, I know that a number of countries would give what you call for example, I could speak about having been to the UK and having seen one of my good friends taking the exam. All he had was a CD that was given to him by the examination body, and then he just went into a room, sit down in front of the computer and take the exam, the written exam, and all he had to do was actually afterwards was to do the practical. We have discussed it before, but currently there is no plan as yet. There is nothing on the board or anything written to say this is the direction we're going to head. And I'm not going to go more into it because of the fact this is not really my department. That is morely the responsibility of the traffic department. And we are just there to support them. But I know that we have had some discussion in the past about it. But that is something that we could look forward to in the coming future. Thank you.
All right. It's practically understandable because, it's a lot of it that is happening now within the ICT department. It's more, to a percentage of it, is pretty new to the department and to the Royal Grenada Police Force. So that's understandable. And it's a work in progress, as we would say. It's a work in progress in terms of getting all these ideas that people have in terms of everybody these days is looking to make life easier in some way or the other. In terms of in terms of communication in any way or the other. So I certainly do understand the caller perspective. We have another caller. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, gentlemen.
How are you?
Fine, thank you. Yes, my thing is right. I'll just draw in our neighbor, Trinidad and Tobago. We're bringing in all this high-tech thing, which we have to because of the world we live in right now. Changes have to come. But I believe the people right now, how much percentage of the people are illiterate here, illiteracy? A lot of things is happening and laws have been passed and the average persons don't understand what they're really dealing with. The school system is where, and the youths is where all they need to target. That incident, what happened this week in town there, and I listen to the radio, I listen to everybody comments. Okay, I'm a trained person. That officer with that youth, for me, I'd have sent him back in training. Because for the time that youth lift his hand, he's supposed to be on the ground. And the 5 of them them to control him is telling you something. My point is, we need to get our people on board. When you look at Trinidad military, you look at the police. The police was something before people had respect for. The army or the Coast Guard. But what you see happening now, the police and the country move forward with all the technology, all the mechanism you could put in place, and the people get left behind. So there's a war now between the citizen of the country and the police, and then the government now, the prime minister now, look like a fool because they find, look what's going on with the ship with the from Grenada, what happened with the Coast Guard. The Coast Guard was a place people had respect for in Trinidad. But look what happened, look what it did. The government is being blamed. But these individuals, they are officers because of the system over the years that created that. So it come a war between them now and the people. And that is something also. What all you are doing is not bad, it's good, because there is improvement, that is betterment. But we need to, that incident what went on there should have controlled better than that.
Okay, caller. Thanks for your contribution this morning, caller. And because we'd be more talking about the ICT department of the Royal Grenada Police Force, and I am sort of gasping what the caller is trying to get at, but. As Superintendent Wilson mentioned and Inspector Allan also mentioned, most of these departments, they are not really in charge of it, per se. You understand? And the role they are playing does not always apply to the statement that the caller was actually making. So I certainly, I think as an officer, the gentleman may understand. Am I correct by saying that? You may understand what he's saying, but it's not actually it's actually not the department that you per se is in charge of. You understand? So no. You may not be able to give a direct answer in response to his questions this morning. Let's go over to another caller this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you today?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
Fine. To the officers.
Yes.
Something that going on for the longest while. You feel mostly vehicles coming in with automatic, right? And they're telling people that you have to drive and stick if you have to get a taxi license. Most of the vehicles now are coming automatic. The big buses coming automatic. Mostly all the vehicles like SUVs, all those coming with automatic. But they still want you to drive stick. If you have, they don't want to give you taxi license if you don't want to drive stick, bus stick. I find that is foolishness, because the whole thing is it's time for to stop that, because they had a thing saying you must drive in 25 years before, if you want it, without going and drive a stick 25 years before they give you that license. That is real stupidness. I think it's time for to fix this thing. Tell Mr. Connett and them they have to fix that this time, because I know people who want to that driving and they're driving, they have a taxi and they put it on P because they cannot get the license. So they're driving P and they pick up people as a regular taxi.
All right.
And it's a P.
All right, caller. The caller still is not on par with the direction of the conversation this morning, per se. And again, I certainly do understand where he's coming from, but that is something that another department within the Royal Grenada Police Force may be able to answer. One of these mornings when the traffic department, per se, is in, they will be able to assist in answering a question of that particular nature. All right. The two officers that we have this morning, we're talking more in terms of communications and the ICT department of the Royal Grenada Police Force. In the Superintendent Wayne Wilson has given us a description of what the department does per se, and all they do in terms of basically we're talking about the communications and other aspects in which the particular department, of course, assists the Royal Grenada Police Force with. So in terms of, yes, I'm assuming callers may hear us speaking about, the licensing and so forth. But the department that these two gentlemen are part of is just assisting, per se, the other departments in terms of the ICT and so forth. All right, so let's take another caller. So callers, when you call in, please try to keep your question in within that particular direction, please. Good morning. We have another caller.
Yeah, morning time.
Good morning.
My question is on the communication aspect.
Sure.
I heard the officers give out a list of names of entities that would be joining that communication groupings or on the same platform. Could you give us a thorough list of all entities? And in addition, I want to specifically ask about Waste Management Authority. I haven't heard any authoritative bodies speaking or bringing in the waste management authorities within these emergencies if the country has to go through one. So could they expound on that, please?
All right, thanks a lot, caller. And I guess, officers, I guess you may have heard the caller's question. Anyone willing to answer it?
Yes. Give me the privilege, please. Thank you. One of the things is that as it relates to this communication public chunk network is it was actually managed and financed through the NTRC under the Universal Service Fund. About 3 weeks back, we had an engagement at the Trade Center, and we had a number of entities, be it those who were already on the network or some who was invited. Unfortunately, we were not the ones responsible for the invitation. But let me throw it out there is that we have a responsibility to the nation and to ensure that whoever want to serve in that capacity in terms of delivering service to the people of Greater Carriacou and PD Martinique, and who are financially able to procure the necessary equipment, supporting equipment. We're not talking about supporting equipment, we're talking about, for example, in terms of waste management, if they wanted to put communication on 3 or 4 vehicles and they wanted to ensure that their site, between their site in, say, for example, in the Perseverance area and the main office, have a base station, and they wanted to ensure that a number of officers field officers have communication devices. That is possible. All you have to do is to get in touch with us, and we'll make that happen. The only thing is that you will be responsible for procuring the necessary equipment, but you could be a part of the network in the sense that you don't have to be paying a cost to utilize the application, because the intent of the application, as I said before, is for the benefit of everybody, just to ensure that we have a unique platform or a uniform platform that everybody could communicate or come in as one when there is a need to manage disasters. But after a disaster, you will remain in what you call, in radio terminology, it's called your talk group. You will remain in your talk group and communicate as much as you want until another disaster come about, which we're not praying for, but if another incident come about, then we'll join everybody together so that we have one unique and unified communication platform.
All right, because you did
possible for any entity out there.
All right, because you did mention earlier in an earlier statement you made that the communication system now is where the RGPF per se and the ICT department and communication department is the main controller of it per se for now. And in the future, you look into if where all these other entities, so like NAGMA, etc., could have their own. But just in case there's a disaster per se that takes place, you will be able to come as one body and speak with one voice per se in terms of when an incident of that nature happens. All right. We started the final 10 minutes. We drew for another break. Let's take it, and we come back and take final statements from both you gentlemen before we take a wrap for this morning. Let's take a final break, and we're coming right back. It's To The Point here on K105 and the GBN TV. We're coming right back.
You know, one day I woke up and, you know, they painted a set of pedestrian crossing all along the streets. You know, nobody told us how to use that thing properly.
I know how.
You're serious?
Every safe, good driver knows about these things. As a driver, you have to be very attentive. You know you're coming up close to a pedestrian cross, you start slowing down immediately, looking to see if there's any pedestrian on the side getting ready to cross. If there is, you stop on the line that is a certain distance before the crosswalk. Then you would see the pedestrian put their hands out, looking directly at you, indicating that they are going to cross. And only when you have come to a complete stop, that is when they will quickly and safely cross to the other side. And then you can...
So we're back here on K105, also live via GBN TV, our social media platforms. Good morning, Facebook and YouTube. Good morning. My bad, I haven't gone online to grab information from viewers and listeners out there. Certainly hope we could get that done sometime. My bad on the multitasking part of things at time, I would say that. So, gentlemen, we're back this time, and let's have some closing statements this morning in terms of how you would like to foresee the department move forward in terms in the everyday growth of Grenada in this department, because we all know that's the direction per se the world is at right now. So any closing statements from you this morning before we take a wrap this morning?
All right, GTO. So I'll start off here stating that we are here to serve the public. And what we are doing in terms of ICT, we are using the technology to aid us in terms of helping us serve the public better. We want to be efficient, we want to be effective as a police organization. So as a law enforcement organization, we are there to serve. So we are using the technology. Even internally, we know it's a cultural shift, it's a cultural change for we as law enforcement officers and also for the general public. But we want to beg for your patience and your support moving forward in terms of using the technology to assist us to serve you better. I know we mentioned about premise, and we're very passionate about premise because we believe premise would aid us in helping us serve the general public better in terms of report and incidents that are reported to the police on a daily basis. We have started our internal awareness work with all of our police officers, and we are also doing it with the general public that we are already starting. So we look forward to the general public support in that regard. A lot more will be asked from you, but the more questions that we ask is to aid us in helping us to serve you better. And at the end of it is to make Grenada Carrier Company market safe in terms of putting measures and policies in place to serve our people. The main objective and function of police is for prevention and detection, not basically to arrest offenders. Once we prevent and detect, then we have less arrests. So the mechanism that we are putting in place now in terms of using the technology is to aid us in doing that to serve you, the general public, better. So we beg for your support and cooperation. You have been doing so, but I still believe we can do much better moving forward as a state, another organization to serve each and everyone better as we move forward. Thank you.
All right. Thank you there. Of course, since Inspector Allan James there. Superintendent Winston, any closing statement from you this morning? I think your microphone is off a wee bit, sir. If you could get that tap in there.
Yes. I would like to reach out there to the public as it relates to emergency 911. And to the parents out there that the kids at home at sometimes. We are bombarded at times, especially whenever school gives vacation, to kids being able to make a free call to the 911. And sometimes if you would listen to the statements that are made coming from kids, you wouldn't believe. Pretty soon, with the new communication system, we'll be routing all our calls to that system where these calls will be recorded. And I believe that some of the individuals or the wider public wouldn't like to hear some of the statements that are made sometimes on these lines, because we are actually clogging up the lines for, especially when somebody wants to make an actual call. Because we don't only support police, we also support the Ministry of Health. If there's an accident, we are the ones who relay to the hospital. Okay, so please try and assist us in making the use of that line better. But in moving forward, I forgot to mention earlier on that we are also responsible for maintaining a portion of government network, because government have a project that they started a couple of years back called CASIP, where we have a fiber network going into all stations and departments, government ministries and sub offices, called CASIP. We are also responsible for maintaining 10 of these. So I just wanted the public to know that we have our work cut out for us. But besides that, we have other things to happen. Pretty soon we'll be, we have already started assisting the Ministry of Works as it relates to the traffic lights, because, the traffic department plays a big role in the management of traffic within the Tri-Island state. And also pretty soon we'll be seeing a CCTV network within Grenada. But this, I know Commissioner of Police have a press brief at 2 p.m. There's a number of things that was raised by individuals this morning. Some of it could be raised to him, because as the host indicated, that we are not here to actually speak solely on behalf of other departments. We are here to speak on the department of the ICT. But moreover, there's a lot in store for us. With that in store, we need the support, not only from the members of the public, but from the government in charge also. They have a responsibility to ensure that the tools that we require in terms of delivering of service where ICT is concerned is given to us. We are moving to in the next few months with the NTRC to ensure that the officers in the field have the ability to communicate seamlessly back to the platforms mentioned. But overall, we cannot do anything by ourselves. I'm happy that we have a wonderful team here. I'm happy that we have members of the public that supports us, because currently there's a number of people that will call and give us support, whether it's technical support or advice. We do acknowledge you and thank you very much. And thank you, GBN, for taking the opportunity, as you normally do, when we call on you to actually give us that platform to deliver our message to the wider public. And I know we'll be coming back to you again, because there's more in-depth information to be given to the wider diaspora and to the Grenadian public. So to all day who have been supporting us, be it you're the individual that give a word of advice, or the simple police officer on the street who does not have an in-depth knowledge of ICT, but understand where we're going. Thank you very much. Thank you for one and all. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
All right. Thank you once again, both officers, and all the best for the rest of the day.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Hey, folks, that's where we come to the end of To The Point for today. Join us again tomorrow. I will not be in tomorrow. And certainly, of course, you would have another host taking care of it. So until then, let's say goodbye to viewers via GBN TV, or listeners via the various social platforms. And those of you listening via K105, that's where we come to the end of To The Point for today. Have yourselves a great day.